The 1960s are often romanticized as an era of iconic car designs, but not every vehicle from this decade deserves admiration. Some car bodies were so poorly engineered that they became liabilities, whether through structural flaws, impractical designs, or just plain bad craftsmanship. Here's a list of 9 cars from the 1960s that stand out for all the wrong reasons.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 9. 1964 Dodge Dart. The 1964 Dodge Dart was a compact car that fell into the shadow of its more daring competitors. As Dodge sought to capitalize on the growing demand for affordable and efficient vehicles, the Dart was positioned to appeal to the practical-minded buyer. However, while it excelled in reliability and practicality, the Dart's plain and uninspired design failed to make an impression. Its boxy body, devoid of character or flair, and its awkward roofline proportions made it appear like a budget-conscious imitation rather than a true competitor in the compact car market. By the early 1960s, the compact car market in the United States was booming. Rising fuel prices, increasing urbanization, and a growing interest in smaller, more economical cars drove automakers to create compact models. The Dodge Dart was initially introduced in 1960 as a full-size model, but by 1963, it had been downsized to a compact car to compete with vehicles like the Ford Falcon, Chevrolet Corvair, and Plymouth Valiant. The 1964 Dart aimed to offer affordability, simplicity, and reliability, which it largely achieved. However, Dodge neglected to infuse the Dart with the kind of stylistic identity that was becoming increasingly important to consumers. Dodge opted for a plain and utilitarian design for the 1964 Dart, prioritizing practicality over boldness. While this approach may have appealed to budget-conscious buyers, it left the Dart looking unremarkable compared to its more stylish competitors. The result was a car that lacked the visual excitement or distinctiveness to capture the imagination of buyers, despite its mechanical competence. The 1964 Dart featured a rectangular, boxy body that was functional but utterly devoid of personality. Its straight-edged lines and flat surfaces gave it the appearance of a utilitarian appliance rather than an automobile designed to inspire. Unlike competitors such as the Ford Falcon, which at least offered some sense of sleekness, or the Chevrolet Corvair, which experimented with curves, the Dart looked like it was designed by committee with an emphasis on cost-cutting over creativity. The lack of any notable design features, no bold grille, no interesting trim, and no defining curves meant the car had nothing to visually distinguish it on the road. It was, in essence, forgettable at first glance. While Dodge clearly wanted to produce an affordable vehicle, its design choices made the car look cheap rather than merely economical. The slab-sided panels, minimal trim, and overall lack of detailing conveyed an impression that the Dart was unfinished or unrefined compared to its competitors. Consumers seeking an affordable car in the compact segment often still wanted a sense of style or sophistication, which the Dart failed to provide. The roofline of the 1964 Dodge Dart was one of its most visually awkward features. The roof seemed too tall in proportion to the car's narrow body, giving it an almost top-heavy appearance. This disproportionate roofline disrupted the visual balance of the car, making it look more like a scaled-down sedan than a thoughtfully designed compact car. Compared to cars like the Chevrolet Nova, which managed to integrate a sleek and cohesive roofline into its design, the Dart's roof looked clumsy and out of sync with the rest of the vehicle. Dodge attempted to offset the awkward roofline by offering a hardtop coupe version, but the squared-off profile still lacked the elegance and fluidity needed to compete with more stylish, compact coupes of the era. This misstep highlighted Dodge's failure to decide whether the Dart was meant to be a practical family car or a sporty compact, leaving it in a no-man's land where it satisfied neither audience. In a market filled with exciting new models, the Dart struggled to stand out. Vehicles like the Ford Falcon offered better styling while maintaining the same practicality, and the Chevrolet Corvair at least offered innovation with its rear-engine layout. The Dart's plainness may have appealed to a narrow segment of buyers who valued function over form, but it failed to win over the growing number of consumers who wanted their compact cars to feel modern and fashionable. Despite its design flaws, the Dart sold reasonably well due to its reputation for reliability and affordability. However, these qualities did little to build any emotional connection with buyers, making the Dart a car that was used but rarely loved. The 1964 Dodge Dart may have been a reliable and practical compact car, but its uninspired boxy design and awkward roofline proportions left it looking more like a placeholder in the Dodge lineup than a bold entry into the compact car market. Its lack of stylistic identity, combined with its clumsy proportions, made it a car that was practical to own, but forgettable to drive. Number 8, 1963 Oldsmobile Jetfire. In the early 1960s, the Oldsmobile Jetfire was introduced as a forward-thinking compact car. Notable for its pioneering use of a turbocharged engine, it attempted to position itself as a sporty, high-tech alternative in the burgeoning compact car market. However, despite its mechanical innovation, the Jetfire was visually underwhelming. Its clunky proportions, awkward roofline, and overall lack of cohesive styling left it looking more like a shrunken sedan than a truly compact, sporty coupe. The 1963 Oldsmobile Jetfire was one of the first production cars in the world to feature a turbocharged engine. Its 215 cubic inch aluminum V8 engine, equipped with a turbocharger, delivered impressive performance for a compact car, producing 215 horsepower, a figure that rivaled many larger cars of the era. Oldsmobile marketed the Jetfire as a technological marvel, aimed at drivers seeking both innovation and excitement in a smaller package. As part of GM's Y-body platform, the Jetfire shared its underpinnings with the Chevrolet Corvair and Pontiac Tempest, targeting a growing market for smaller, more efficient cars. However, the Jetfire faced stiff competition not only from its GM siblings, but also from rivals like the Ford Falcon and Plymouth Valiant, both of which offered practical and well-styled compact options. While mechanical innovation gave the Jetfire an edge in theory, the car's styling needed to deliver on its promise of sporty sophistication. Unfortunately, the Jetfire's awkward design failed to live up to the expectations set by its advanced engineering. The Jetfire's design was heavily influenced by Oldsmobile's larger sedans, but shrinking those styling cues to fit the compact Y-body platform resulted in clunky, unbalanced proportions. The car's short wheelbase and relatively tall stance made it appear more like a scaled-down family car than a sleek compact. The proportions lacked the refinement seen in competitors like the Ford Falcon Sprint, which successfully embraced a sporty, low-slung aesthetic. The stubby front and rear overhangs, combined with the narrow width, gave the Jetfire a squat, awkward appearance, further emphasizing its status as a downsized sedan rather than a purpose-built compact. Despite its advanced turbocharged engine, the Jetfire's visual bulk made it look heavier and less aerodynamic than it actually was. This visual contradiction undermined its marketing as a nimble, high-performance compact. The Jetfire's roofline was a key contributor to its awkward proportions. Unlike many compact coupes of the era, which featured sleek and flowing rooflines, the Jetfire had a boxy, upright roof design that failed to convey sportiness. The roof appeared too tall in proportion to the car's overall length, giving the car a top-heavy look that clashed with its compact dimensions. Additionally, the rear roofline terminated abruptly, creating an awkward transition to the trunk. This design choice further emphasized the Jetfire's resemblance to a sedan rather than a cohesive coupe. While the Jetfire may have been practical in terms of headroom, its boxy roofline made it look outdated compared to more stylish compacts of the time. Competitors like the Ford Falcon Sprint and Chevrolet Corvair Monza embraced low-profile, sweeping rooflines that gave them a modern, sporty appearance. The Jetfire's styling borrowed heavily from Oldsmobile's larger cars, but instead of creating a distinctive identity for the compact model, this approach resulted in a car that looked generic and uninspired. The grille, headlights, and body lines were all scaled-down versions of Oldsmobile's full-size design language, but they failed to adapt successfully to the smaller platform. The result was a car that blended into the crowd rather than standing out. As a car that was already a mechanical pioneer, the Jetfire could have benefited from equally bold styling. Instead, its design played it safe, leaving it overshadowed by more daring competitors. Even minor design flourishes, such as the Jetfire's badging and trim, felt restrained and did little to reinforce the car's sporty aspirations. The 1963 Oldsmobile Jetfire was a car with bold aspirations, but a design that failed to deliver. Its clunky proportions, awkward roofline, and lack of a distinct identity made it an underwhelming entry in the compact car market. While its turbocharged engine left a lasting legacy, its design flaws ensured that it would remain a footnote in automotive history, a reminder that innovation must be matched by thoughtful and appealing design to truly succeed. Number 7. 1967 Chrysler Newport. The 1967 Chrysler Newport, a full-size sedan in Chrysler's lineup, was intended to offer a premium driving experience at a reasonable price. Despite its market position as an affordable luxury car, the Newport's design failed to captivate buyers or make a lasting impression. Its slab-sided body panels, uninspired grille, and overall lack of visual interest made it look dull and outdated, especially when compared to competitors offering more dynamic styling. By the late 1960s, full-size sedans were a mainstay of American roads, and automakers competed fiercely to make these cars stand out with bold styling and powerful engines. Chrysler, known for its engineering prowess, aimed to balance reliability and comfort with sophisticated design. However, the Newport's 1967 redesign missed the mark. The slab-sided design trend was not unique to Chrysler. Many automakers experimented with minimalist styling in the 1960s, focusing on clean lines and broad surfaces. Unfortunately, Chrysler's execution on the Newport leaned too heavily on this aesthetic, resulting in a car that looked featureless and lifeless, rather than sleek and modern. The 1967 Newport's body featured large, uninterrupted flat surfaces that lacked the sculpted lines or detailing needed to break up its monolithic appearance. While some rivals like Cadillac and Lincoln embraced slab-sided designs, they complemented the flat panels with chrome accents, character lines, and unique proportions. The Newport, by contrast, looked plain and uninspired. The featureless panels made the Newport look immense and boxy, especially in profile. It lacked the elegance or dynamism expected of a premium full-size sedan. This design choice gave the impression that Chrysler had taken cost-cutting measures, sacrificing visual appeal to save on production complexity. The front fascia of the 1967 Newport was dominated by a wide horizontal grille with a simple grid-like pattern. Unlike the bold, aggressive grilles seen on competitors, the Newport's grille looked utilitarian and unimaginative. The grille was flanked by rectangular headlights, but the lack of contouring or sculpting around the headlight bezels further emphasized the car's flat, boring design. The Newport's grille failed to evoke a sense of luxury or power. The 1967 Ford Galaxy featured a sharp, angular grille with a sporty aesthetic. The 1967 Buick Electra 225 used dramatic chrome elements and integrated curves to create a refined appearance. The Newport's grille appeared dated and out of touch, even in its release year. The Newport struggled to establish a distinct identity within Chrysler's lineup. Its design was too conservative to appeal to younger buyers and too plain to attract luxury customers. The absence of bold design elements, such as strong character lines, dramatic roof lines, or standout trim details, left the Newport bland and forgettable. Chrysler could have capitalized on the Newport's size to create a commanding presence, much like the Cadillac Fleetwood or Lincoln Continental. Instead, the Newport's uninspired design made it blend into the background. While the Newport sold reasonably well, its lack of standout styling meant it couldn't compete with more visually appealing models in the same price range. Buyers looking for full-size sedans often opted for cars with more dramatic or refined designs, such as the Chevrolet Impala or Pontiac Bonneville. The 1967 Newport failed to leave a lasting legacy. Its utilitarian design contributed to its perception as a car meant for practicality rather than excitement or prestige. The 1967 Chrysler Newport serves as a cautionary tale about the risks of uninspired design. While mechanically competent and spacious, its slab-sided body, massive grille, and lack of cohesive styling made it a dull and forgettable option in a competitive market. For Chrysler, the Newport was a missed opportunity to capitalize on the era's appetite for bold, luxurious, full-size sedans. Its design flaws remind us that visual appeal is just as critical as functionality in making a car successful. Number 6. 1966 Ford Falcon. The 1966 Ford Falcon, a compact car introduced during the height of Ford's push to dominate the small car market, started to show its age. Initially lauded for its simplicity and practicality, when it debuted in 1960, the Falcon's design failed to evolve enough to remain competitive by the mid-1960s. Its dated, boxy shape and cheap-looking chrome trim gave it an uninspired appearance, making it seem outclassed by fresher, more stylish rivals. When the Ford Falcon debuted in 1960, it was a response to rising demand for compact cars that prioritize fuel efficiency and practicality. Its simple design and reliability made it an instant hit. The car was a pioneer in its class, helping Ford capture a significant share of the compact car market. The compact car market of the early 1960s focused on utility, but by the mid-1960s, consumer expectations had shifted. Buyers now demanded cars with style and personality, even in the compact segment. The Falcon's failure to keep up with these trends highlighted Ford's hesitation to invest in substantial design upgrades. The 1966 Falcon featured a rectangular body shape with minimal sculpting or character lines, making it look outdated compared to the more curvaceous designs of competitors like the Chevrolet Corvair or Plymouth Valiant. While the simplicity of the Falcon's design might have been appealing in 1960, by 1966 it felt unimaginative and utilitarian. The addition of thin, basic chrome accents did little to enhance the car's appearance. Instead of adding a sense of sophistication, the chrome trim felt like an afterthought, emphasizing the Falcon's budget-conscious nature. This gave the Falcon a cheap look that alienated buyers seeking more refined compact options. Unlike the Ford Mustang, which shared its platform with the Falcon's design didn't benefit from the sporty or dynamic cues that could have refreshed its image. The grille and headlights were blocky and uninspired, blending into the car's plain fascia without creating a distinct visual identity. The Corvair offered a sleek, rear-engine design and innovative styling that made it stand out in the compact car market. It catered to buyers who wanted something that felt modern and European-inspired. The Valiant featured bold, angular styling and aggressive lines, giving it a sportier and more contemporary feel compared to the Falcon. The Falcon also suffered from being overshadowed by the wildly popular Ford Mustang, which had redefined what buyers expected in terms of compact car style and performance. While the Mustang catered to sporty and youthful buyers, the Falcon was stuck appealing to a shrinking market of conservative drivers who valued practicality over aesthetics. Ford marketed the Falcon as a reliable, fuel-efficient family car, but this message felt outdated in 1966, as more buyers sought cars with flair and character. The Falcon's advertisements emphasized function over form, failing to inspire excitement or emotional connection. Ford inadvertently undercut the Falcon's appeal by investing heavily in the Mustang, which shared some of the same mechanical components, but offered a far more exciting package. This internal competition highlighted how the Falcon's design and image had been neglected. Automakers must adapt their designs to match evolving consumer tastes. The Falcon's failure to modernize reflected Ford's complacency, resulting in a product that felt stagnant. Even compact cars need a strong visual identity to succeed. The Falcon's plain design lacked the boldness or distinction necessary to compete with rivals. While practicality is essential in the compact market, it doesn't have to come at the expense of style. The Falcon demonstrated that a utilitarian approach can become a liability when tastes shift. The 1966 Ford Falcon serves as a reminder that innovation is critical, even for models built on practicality and reliability. Its dated, boxy design, combined with uninspired chrome trim, left it looking uncompetitive in a market increasingly defined by style and personality. While the Falcon had once been a leader in the compact car segment, its failure to adapt to changing expectations doomed it to irrelevance. In the end, the 1966 Falcon illustrates the risks of neglecting design evolution in a rapidly evolving industry. Number 5. 1968 Dodge Polara. The 1968 Dodge Polara exemplifies how excessive proportions and uninspired design can mar a full-size car's appeal. As a member of Dodge's full-size lineup, the Polara was intended to project a commanding presence and offer spaciousness. However, its enormous size, flat, featureless panels, and excessive length resulted in a bloated and ungraceful appearance. The late 1960s was an era when full-size cars symbolized prestige and success in the American market. These vehicles were expected to combine spacious interiors with elegant, well-balanced designs. Competitors like the Chevrolet Impala and Ford Galaxy 500 managed to achieve this balance, offering full-size dimensions without appearing overly bulky. The Polara was positioned as a step below the premium Monaco, but aimed to deliver similar full-size comfort and features. Unfortunately, rather than standing out as a stylish contender, the 1968 Polara became a cautionary tale of design excess. At over 220 inches long, the Polara was one of the longest cars in its segment. While size was often seen as a virtue in the full-size market, the Polara's dimensions felt excessive, creating an impression of unwieldiness. Its length didn't translate into aesthetic grace, but rather emphasized its bulk, making the car look disproportionately stretched. The 1968 Polara suffered from an over-reliance on flat, featureless body panels, which gave it a slab-sided appearance. Unlike competitors that use sculpted lines and contours to break up large surfaces, the Polara's design felt monotonous and uninspired. The absence of detailing created a visual heaviness that made the car appear even larger than it was. The Polara's hood and trunk were excessively long, while its greenhouse, the area with the windows, was relatively small. This unbalanced design skewed the car's proportions, making it seem awkward rather than elegant. The rear end, with its simple rectangular taillights and boxy shape, lacked the refinement and flair seen in rivals like the Pontiac Bonneville. The front grille, intended to project a bold and commanding presence, came across as unimaginative. Its wide horizontal bars and minimal ornamentation blended too easily into the car's flat front end, failing to create a distinctive identity. The Impala successfully combined size with flowing lines and sculpted curves, giving it a sleek and dynamic presence. Its grille and rear styling were more distinctive, helping it feel upscale even in lower trims. The Galaxy 500 used a more athletic, fastback-inspired roofline and crisp character lines to make its full-size dimensions feel less overwhelming. Ford balanced its proportions with thoughtful detailing, avoiding the bloated look that plagued the Polara. Pontiac's emphasis on wide-track styling gave the Bonneville a confident, planted appearance. Its intricate grille and taillight designs added a sense of sophistication. The 1968 Polara struggled to stand out in Dodge's own lineup, where the Monaco offered a more premium interpretation of the full-size formula. Buyers gravitated toward competitors that managed to combine spaciousness with style, leaving the Polara to languish in showrooms. Dodge missed an opportunity to inject personality and innovation into the Polara's design. Instead, it relied on sheer size, which no longer appealed to an increasingly design-conscious public. Full-size cars must balance their dimensions with visual elements that create elegance and grace. The Polara's poor proportions demonstrated how excessive size without thoughtful design can become a liability. Sculpted lines and contours are essential for breaking up large surfaces on full-size vehicles. The Polara's flat panels and lack of detail made it appear unfinished and heavy. By 1968, buyers sought full-size cars that offered more than just space. They wanted style, innovation, and balance. The Polara's failure to adapt to these changing tastes left it behind. The 1968 Dodge Polara is a case study in how excessive proportions and uninspired design can undermine a full-size car's appeal. Its flat panels, massive size, and awkward proportions made it appear bloated and outdated in a market where competitors were redefining full-size elegance. Ultimately, the Polara's shortcomings serve as a reminder that size alone does not equate to success in automotive design. By failing to pair its dimensions with a cohesive and stylish design, Dodge created a car that struggled to resonate with buyers. Number 4, 1967 AMC Rebel. The 1967 AMC Rebel was American Motors Corporation's attempt to compete in the fiercely contested mid-size car market of the late 1960s. Positioned as a bold and modern design, the Rebel introduced angular styling meant to set it apart from its competitors. However, the execution resulted in a chunky, featureless design that failed to deliver the sleekness or appeal seen in rival offerings. By the mid-1960s, AMC was the smallest of the big four American automakers, consistently outspent and out-engineered by larger competitors like GM, Ford, and Chrysler. To stand out, AMC often marketed its cars as practical, value-oriented choices but struggled to shed its image as a builder of conservative, unexciting vehicles. The midsize segment was booming, with stylish entries like the Chevrolet Chevelle, Ford Fairlane, and Plymouth Satellite capturing buyers with sporty, aggressive designs and powerful engine options. AMC needed a contender that could combine distinctive styling with performance and value, but the Rebel fell short on the design front. The Rebel's body was dominated by blocky, angular lines, which AMC intended as a statement of modernity. Unfortunately, these lines were neither dynamic nor cohesive. Its overall proportions lacked the balance of its competitors, making the car appear heavier and less athletic than it was. The flat side panels of the Rebel were devoid of sculpted character lines or design elements that could break up its visual mass. This simplicity, rather than looking elegant, came across as bland and uninspired. The car's long, unadorned surfaces emphasized its size without adding sophistication or aggression. The Rebel's grille was a horizontal affair with narrow rectangular headlights, but it lacked the boldness or detail that might have made it stand out. Compared to rivals like the Chevelle, which used dynamic chrome accents and more intricate lighting designs, the Rebel's front end seemed generic and unimaginative. The Rebel's rear was flat and angular with minimal ornamentation. The taillights, though distinctive in their vertical layout, failed to compensate for the unremarkable overall design. This simplistic rear treatment did nothing to evoke a sense of power or elegance, leaving the car visually unbalanced. The Chevelle boasted a sleeker, more sculpted body with flowing lines that conveyed both elegance and sportiness. Its grille and tail light designs were integrated seamlessly into the car's overall aesthetic, creating a sense of balance and refinement. The Fairlane struck a middle ground between sophistication and aggressiveness, using well-placed chrome accents and sculpted side panels to create visual interest. Ford's attention to detail made the Fairlane appear more upscale and appealing compared to the plain Rebel. The Satellite's sharp, clean lines and powerful stance gave it a commanding presence. Its styling reflected Chrysler's focus on blending boldness with practicality. The Rebel sold modestly but failed to make a significant dent in the midsize market, where buyers were drawn to the more stylish and better-equipped options from competitors. Its design was often described as forgettable, which hurt its chances in a segment where visual appeal was increasingly important. AMC had the chance to redefine itself with the Rebel, but its bland, uninspired design did little to elevate the brand's reputation. In a competitive market, boldness in design needs to be paired with finesse. The Rebel's angular styling was unique, but lacked the refinement to make it appealing. The midsize car market rewarded vehicles with proportional balance and well-integrated design elements. The Rebel's chunky, unbalanced look failed to resonate with buyers. Sculpted lines and carefully placed accents add character to a car's design. The Rebel's featureless panels made it look unfinished and contributed to its bland reputation. The 1967 AMC Rebel was AMC's attempt to create a bold and modern midsize car, but its execution missed the mark. Its chunky proportions, featureless design, and lack of cohesive styling left it looking bland and outdated in a market that demanded sleekness and sophistication. While AMC's efforts to innovate were commendable, the Rebel ultimately serves as a reminder that bold ideas must be tempered by thoughtful design to succeed in the competitive world of automotive styling. Number 3, 1969 Mercury Montego. The 1969 Mercury Montego was a mid-tier offering from Ford's Mercury division, positioned between the Ford Fairlane and the luxury-focused Marquis. Intended to compete in the mid-size market, the Montego faced tough rivals such as the Chevrolet Chevelle, Pontiac Le Mans, and Dodge Coronet. However, its stretched proportions and plain front fascia contributed to a design that lacked character and struggled to stand out. Mercury was marketed as a step up from Ford's lineup, offering more upscale features and styling while remaining below Lincoln in prestige. The Montego was intended to appeal to buyers seeking a blend of affordability and sophistication, but its execution fell short of achieving either. By 1969, the midsize segment was fiercely competitive, with car makers investing heavily in stylish designs and performance-oriented options. Rivals offered bold styling cues, aggressive stances, and innovative features that captured buyer attention, leaving the Montego looking uninspired by comparison. The Montego's body was stretched to give it a more substantial appearance, but this elongation resulted in unbalanced proportions. The long hood and rear deck appeared exaggerated, especially when paired with the car's relatively narrow stance. Unlike some competitors, which use their length to emphasize elegance or aggression, the Montego simply looked oversized. The front of the Montego featured a flat horizontal grille with modest chrome trim and rectangular headlights. While functional, the design was too generic, lacking the flair needed to distinguish it from other sedans. Competitors like the Dodge Coronet featured bold, angular front ends, while the Chevelle incorporated muscular, sculpted designs that oozed personality. The Montego's grille and headlight arrangement failed to leave a lasting impression, making it blend into the background. Mercury's designers opted for conservatism, but this resulted in a car devoid of memorable design elements. The body panels were flat and minimally detailed, offering little visual interest. Chrome accents, while present, did not enhance the overall design or create a sense of luxury. Without a clear identity, the Montego struggled to attract buyers in a market increasingly driven by image and style. The Chevelle boasted a muscular, sculpted body that conveyed strength and sportiness. It was an aspirational choice for buyers. Aggressive front-end styling and powerful engine options complemented its attractive proportions. The Coronet featured bold, angular styling that gave it a commanding presence on the road. Its cohesive design and performance-oriented trims, such as the RT, set it apart from sedans like the Montego. The Le Mans was a masterclass in merging elegance with sportiness, utilizing flowing lines and a wide stance. Its grille design and character lines gave it a unique identity that Mercury failed to replicate with the Montego. While Mercury positioned the Montego as an upscale midsize option, its bland design failed to connect with buyers. Sales were modest but paled in comparison to its more stylish competitors. The Montego lacked a defining feature to make it memorable. Buyers seeking a blend of style and performance found better options elsewhere. This lack of distinctiveness contributed to Mercury's broader struggle to remain relevant in the rapidly evolving market of the late 1960s. Lengthening a car's body can add elegance, but only when paired with a balanced design. The Montego's stretched proportions made it look awkward rather than sophisticated. In a competitive market, playing it safe with generic styling is a risky move. The Montego's plain front fascia and featureless panels failed to inspire excitement or desire. Successful cars establish a clear identity that resonates with buyers. The Montego's lack of character left it unable to compete against more distinctive rivals. The 1969 Mercury Montego serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of playing it too safe in a highly competitive market. Its stretched proportions and plain design left it lacking the charisma needed to capture attention. In an era where midsize cars were rapidly evolving to meet buyer demands for style, performance, and personality, the Montego blended too much into the crowd, becoming a forgettable option in the sea of late 1960s sedans. For Mercury, the lesson was clear. Standing out matters, especially when everyone else is striving to be bold. Number 2. 1968 Plymouth Fury 3. The 1968 Plymouth Fury 3 was positioned as the upper-tier trim in Plymouth's full-size lineup, intended to combine comfort, size, and sophistication. However, the Fury 3's slab-sided design and bloated proportions worked against its aspirations, leaving it looking more like a utilitarian fleet vehicle than a stylish flagship sedan. By the late 1960s, full-size cars dominated American roads, with models like the Chevrolet Impala, Ford Galaxy, and Pontiac Bonneville offering a mix of performance, comfort, and style. Styling was a key selling point, with automakers competing to design cars that conveyed elegance, power, and modernity. As Chrysler's budget brand, Plymouth aimed to provide full-size cars at a lower price point compared to Dodge or Chrysler, but without sacrificing size or comfort. The Fury 3 was marketed as an upscale choice within the Fury lineup, promising refinement for middle-class buyers who wanted more than basic transportation. The Fury 3's enormous size was intended to convey prestige, but it backfired by making the car look cumbersome and overly utilitarian. The slab-sided body panels lacked sculpting, emphasizing the car's bulk rather than breaking it up visually. Compared to competitors with more dynamic styling, the Fury III appeared dated and uninspired. The Fury 3's minimal detailing was a significant drawback. The flat, wide body panels lacked character lines or sculpted features, giving the car a generic appearance. The grille and front fascia were understated to the point of being forgettable, with horizontal bars and simple rectangular headlights offering no unique identity. Chrome trim was present, but sparsely applied, doing little to elevate the design. The car's utilitarian look was exacerbated by its resemblance to fleet vehicles like police cars or taxis. The slab-sided panels and minimal embellishments were practical for fleet buyers, but alienated consumers seeking a stylish personal vehicle. While practical for durability, this aesthetic worked against the Fury 3's image as a higher-end offering. The Impala was a masterclass in combining size with style, featuring bold character lines and dynamic proportions. Sculpted fenders and an expressive grille made it a favorite among full-size buyers seeking elegance. The Galaxy 500 balanced clean design with eye-catching features, such as distinctive stacked headlights and a subtle Coke bottle shape. Its proportions felt lighter and more modern, making it a strong contender in the full-size market. The Bonneville was unapologetically sleek, with dramatic front-end styling and sweeping body lines that emphasized motion even when stationary. It effectively blended luxury with performance-oriented styling, an area where the Fury 3 faltered. The Fury 3's lack of visual excitement made it a less desirable choice for private buyers, who often gravitated toward flashier competitors. While it sold reasonably well due to its price point and size, it was rarely praised for its styling or innovation. The Fury 3's resemblance to utilitarian fleet vehicles likely discouraged image-conscious buyers. Its size and simplicity made it popular among institutional buyers, further solidifying its fleet car reputation. While reliable and functional, the Fury 3 failed to make a lasting impression in the competitive full-size market. It is remembered more for its practicality than as a symbol of design excellence. The Fury 3 demonstrates how excessive proportions without thoughtful styling can result in a car that looks bloated rather than prestigious. Minimalist designs can work, but only when paired with distinctive features. The Fury 3's lack of ornamentation left it looking unfinished. A car marketed as a premium choice must distinguish itself from utilitarian vehicles, something the Fury 3 struggled to do. The 1968 Plymouth Fury 3 serves as a reminder that size alone does not create prestige. Its slab-sided design, bloated proportions, and lack of detailing made it look more like a functional fleet car than a stylish, full-size sedan. In a market that demanded visual excitement and character, the Fury 3's conservative styling left it overshadowed by competitors. For Plymouth, the lesson was clear. Functionality without flair risks mediocrity. Number 1. 1965 Dodge Dart Wagon. The 1965 Dodge Dart Wagon was Dodge's attempt to provide a practical family vehicle within its compact lineup. While it succeeded in delivering utility and affordability, its awkward profile and unbalanced design left much to be desired in the styling department. By the mid-1960s, American families increasingly turned to compact cars for their practicality and affordability, making the wagon variant a logical addition to any manufacturer's lineup. The Dodge Dart lineup, originally introduced in 1960, had evolved into a dependable choice for budget-conscious buyers. Station wagons were essential in this era for family-oriented buyers, offering extra cargo space and seating for large households. Styling played a significant role in attracting buyers to wagons, as they were often seen as status symbols for suburban families. One of the most glaring flaws of the Dart wagon was its disjointed profile, with a long, narrow nose that didn't visually harmonize with the boxy rear end. The front end retained the compact car proportions of the Dart sedan, with a slender grille and a stretched hood that appeared disproportionate when paired with the wagon's extended rear section. The rear end was distinctly utilitarian, with a tall, squared-off roofline that prioritized function over form. Unlike competitors that blended practicality with sleek design cues, the Dart wagon appeared as though two separate vehicles were fused together. The transition between the front and rear sections lacked flow, making the car look like an afterthought rather than a fully realized design. The large rectangular rear windows and slab-sided panels emphasized the boxy rear, creating a stark contrast to the curved front. The simplicity of the Dart wagon's design, while practical, came across as uninspired. The front grille and headlight arrangement were plain, failing to give the car any distinct personality. Minimal chrome detailing further reinforced the vehicle's utilitarian appearance, making it look cheap compared to rivals. The Falcon wagon managed to combine practicality with elegance, using flowing lines and a more unified profile. Its design struck a balance between utility and style, making it more appealing to family buyers. The Nova wagon featured a compact design with proportional harmony between its front and rear sections, avoiding the disjointed look of the Dart wagon. Its clean lines and restrained use of chrome gave it a modern yet practical appearance. AMC's Rambler Classic wagon offered bold styling, with its straight-through beltline and cohesive proportions, creating a sense of modernity and sophistication. The Rambler successfully blended utility with flair, a combination the Dart wagon lacked. The Dart wagon's strong points were its utility and reliability, qualities that appealed to practical buyers. Its spacious cargo area and affordable price made it a functional choice for families on a budget. However, buyers who valued style and curb appeal often chose competitors with more polished designs. The Dart wagon was overshadowed by more stylish rivals, failing to establish a strong presence in the competitive wagon segment. Its design shortcomings contributed to its reputation as a merely functional vehicle rather than a desirable one. The Dart wagon's mismatched front and rear sections highlight the importance of balanced proportions in creating an appealing design. Successful wagons of the era demonstrated that practicality can be paired with good design. The Dart wagon's utilitarian focus came at the expense of visual appeal. A vehicle's front and rear must work together to create a cohesive look. The Dart wagon's disjointed design failed to convey a unified aesthetic. The 1965 Dodge Dart wagon served its purpose as a practical family vehicle, but its unbalanced profile and uninspired styling made it a less appealing option in the wagon segment. By prioritizing function over form, Dodge missed an opportunity to create a vehicle that could compete with more visually cohesive and stylish rivals. The Dart wagon remains a reminder that design unity and proportion are just as critical as practicality in automotive success.